What up, friends? GM. How are we all doing this morning or evening or afternoon? Have you guys all seen the new sticker? Just came out yesterday. Who's going to drop it in first? There we go. Thank you, guys. Very nice. We cooking. Love the little spoon flip. Yo, No Future. How you doing, man?
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, we are in the MCon Gotchi Lodge. So everybody's getting up and getting ready for us to go to a podcast at, I think it's at 11 our time.
Oh, yeah.
So in about an hour. Yeah, it's going to be good.
What's the podcast?
Actually, I don't know what it is. It's one of the event organizers. I believe they're going to be interviewing Light Piglet. We're going to be giving them a sweater. I believe a OG, the first holiday sweater. So yeah, we're going to be giving them that. We've seen those float around here too. So some OGs in the space rocking our gear.
Are they really? That's awesome. Like, not even, they brought it with them, you mean?
Yeah, people having their gotchi sweaters, like rocking them just out in the wild.
That's awesome. Are they gotchi, like they're gotchi gang or just like random Web3 people?
No, some of them are gotchi gang. Like one of the guys
Yeah.
is, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that made the original petting bot, like the first petting bot that came out. And then Aperion's here. He's running with MCon folks and then a few other people. So yeah, they've been out here. They've been coming by playing with the arcade games. So it's been interesting to see these OGs that we've seen before, like at other conferences at ETH Denver, and they're OG gotchi gang members.
Sick. The original petting bot, I'm trying to think who that was or what. Let's see. It's not coming to me. Anyone remember? Gotchi World, maybe? Yeah, maybe. That's
Yeah,
pretty
someone
cool.
introduced me, and I was like, I don't know the guy's name. I know Aperion because we've seen him at a few different things, but yeah, like Piglet said, I can't remember his name, but he's not super active.
I know Caesar it made a bot. It's not him, right? I don't know if he was the first one though.
No, if we see the guy today, because today's gonna be a little bit different because it's gonna be a number of side events that we're gonna go to, starting with this podcast. So we're gonna float around. We're probably gonna cross paths with him. We were hanging out with him and his girlfriend yesterday at the closing party for the official conference, but now it's like
Yeah.
kind of the last day, and we're doing a whole bunch of events.
Cool. How was the vibes at MCon? Was it good?
It's been good. Like the one thing I'll reflect on is like there's a very Dow vibe. Like the
Yeah.
conversations we are having are so different than what we would normally have. Like the first day they were talking about like death being like a bug, not a feature in everything. So it's like not a bug, but a feature in life. And like the idea of governance and allowing things to die, and like just it was like very existential. But even people coming by and talking about our project, like bringing up like 51% attacks, how have we as our foundation like talked about this? It's like
Hmm.
I don't know that we actually have a plan, like, but it's just interesting depth of that conversation, and then just meeting people who are building and doing things from different perspectives, kind of coming a lot together in this decentralized like manner, and to talk about like decentralized things.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, as far as 51% attacks, I mean, we some would classify the vault as similar to that, but I don't think they ever got 51% of the voting power. It's not an easy thing to do unless you really have deep pockets. But yeah, we've kind of been blessed to not have to deal with a lot of that, and we're not like fully on chain governance. So if there was like an obvious bad actor, I think people would have enough voting power to go against that. But yeah, it's not nothing something we haven't really had to deal with, which is probably another unique thing in the space. Going cross, GM, sir. Well, so you guys got a podcast, and then is the arcade machine wrapping up, or is that still in the main event, or where is that now?
So the main event ran for 2 days. We had it at the main event, and then at the arcade event, we carried it around. And today, I'm not sure. We were discussing if we're going to bring it to the podcast thing. It is large. We just put it back in the house, but it's made its way. Like we had to, I want to tell you guys one of the most amazing experiences, and I think we need to do this at every
Yeah.
one of these events that we go to with our arcade machine. Is having White Ranger here actually debugging the game live. Like you see him opening up like whatever coding stuff he's using, and he's just going at it, like deploying like fixes and changing things like mapping of the buttons based on feedback from the people we've been playing with. So I've been putting up other games whatever we can. He's very much pushing the competition, which I think is great. But I had Grig uh, Gl- Gladiator, the Gotchi Gladiator game by Zygo up and playing. Light Piglet was able to get a version of Drop up and playing. I think certain of the other games are still uh, their servers are down or not active at the moment, but we were like playing around. And it's like to have like the dev for dropped here and being able to like make changes on the fly or discuss the build and take notes directly from the users. It's a different experience. It was really cool to be able to watch that like passively as a person who's not a dev but like is in the gaming ecosystem and watching this happen. I thought it was like such a cool thing to watch. A lot of people were impressed.
That is really neat. Like he's sitting there live committing things, and they're uploading to the arcade. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, we've also we've talked a lot about infrastructure for these kind of things because we often run into internet availability issues. So
Mm.
we were running the Polycade off of like our hotspots on our phones, but we found some decentralized products that have like basically we could set up accounts and get free data like for eSIM. So I definitely want to explore that. We were talking about Starlink and stuff like that,
Yeah, well,
but
I was gonna say like Starlink could work.
yeah, just figuring out costs. It's actually not that much, but we were talking about that. But yeah, to answer Wanda Gachis, the whole unit is heavy. What we end up doing is the top part detaches from the back part, which is much heavier. It's like all metal. So we detach the front part, which has the brain and all the wiring, plus like the fancy lights, and then carry that separately one trip, and then come back for the metal thing. The metal thing does have wheels. We could theoretically wheel it everywhere, but everywhere here the buildings are like 3 stories and we're going up two 2 stories up, and there's no elevator, so it's like carrying it. It's not bad in pieces, but we also have like a decent crew of able body people, so we're just moving the thing around. It's been my workout for the week.
That's sick. The I really like seeing the scan QR code to like deposit your glitter and that flow. That's such a cool experience, I think, for people to have. What was the what was the feedback on that? Were people I mean, obviously you have to have glitter, so a lot of people there didn't. But how has that been going?
It's been going well because what we end up having is we have people who come over and we get to witness the like initial resistance based on the setup. So people, do they have a wallet address? If they have a wallet address, we could send them some glitter if they want to play, because the minimum to play was 100 glitter, but you
Hmm.
can go as much as you want. They get that glitter. With that glitter, they then hit the QR code, and then they could put up a certain number, like 100. To some everybody kept doing 420 Twitter, and you'd match them, deposit. We play a game there. If you win within like a few minutes after the win, you'll see yourself pop up on that leaderboard above. Right now, he has it programmed for top 5. So like I actually did that. I beat a guy. I think we did 42,000 glitter, which is nothing basically, and
Hmm.
I won, which put me into third place. So it's like, okay, now we have people coming back and kind of grinding for it. So the one thing I will say is I got to meet people at our arcade event. We had it open and people were coming up from like normie karaoke below, and we were talking to them, and they like when I told them that a Bitcoin could sit inside of a gotchi, like through Aave, their minds were blown. they were looking at the onboarding process. A lot of these people had Cash App, so they have crypto capabilities.
Hmm.
Do we have Cash App integrations on the DApp? Because they're like, yeah, I want to do this, and I'm like, yeah, I could show you. You have to set up a wallet, and there's like a level of friction there. If we have Cash App enabled anything like on the Polycade or any of that, where we can
Yeah.
direct them towards like buying the stuff they need, like paying Ghost because it's a little more accessible, and then yeah, onboard them into the ecosystem quickly.
Great question. I mean, I know we have so Third Web Pay is like what is integrated directly, and I know it's a credit card. I don't know if it has Cash App specifically though, as a way to like spend, or would you be swapping for Ghost, or what, you're basically paying like $5 in Cash App, and then you would just receive the Ghost in game, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically that. Like we were talking about the old arcade style system where like you make that kind of
Yeah.
deposit and then we give you a card with it on there. But also just for say if a person wants to go over and buy an Aavegotchi, like they want to go into the marketplace, we get them because I actually had this happen. I got to the person to the DApp and I was like, you could sign in with Google and you can use a credit card. And he was like, can I
Yep.
use Cash App? And I'm like, I don't know.
That's a great question. I'll ask Third Web, and if it doesn't work, we can always use. Have you guys seen any crypto apps that do use Cash App? Because I personally haven't. It's interesting though. Like, is
Yeah,
there any
I haven't
ones
either.
that you can like scan a QR code front and then scan it with Cash App and it just purchases it there? But that's a it sounds like, crypto is so focused on our own UX that sometimes we just miss the obvious stuff as an industry, and
Right.
maybe this is one of those areas.
It could be. I remember Cash App was like the top tier sponsor of uh, the annual Bitcoin conference, that last one in Miami, like 2 years ago. Cash App was everywhere. So I know they do support Bitcoin, and
Yeah,
yeah, very very much more mainstream aligned. Interesting idea, no future.
because you guys are kind of living my dream experience of having GBM auctions in person. So we're like one step closer now with like being able to scan a QR code and spend glitter. Really, what I would like to get eventually is being able to buy stuff from the bazaar with a QR code and being able to spend whatever like money you have. That's really where we as an industry all need to go. Like, it needs to be as simple as it is here. I'm in China, and you can pay for everything with WeChat Pay with a QR code, and like that's how it needs to be for us to actually get big adoption as an industry.
Yeah, see, that would be epic. What I saw, which I found so interesting, was that, like I said, there's a certain resistance when you, even to blockchain-based people, introduce like you need to set up a wallet so that we can get you on. We had people come
Yeah.
back and say, "Hey, can we just play?" And then we watched White Ranger go and then deploy a fix so that if you go and hit the P button on the keyboard,
Hmm.
it auto plays. We can play. We don't have to do the glitter. So then people are coming back just to kind of like play the game because they were having fun playing the game. It's actually a fun game. I do like it.
Nice.
Appreciate the compliments, guys.
So what's
Yeah,
after IMCON? Where's the machine gonna go back? We're gonna be able to find a spot for
um,
it, go home?
oh yeah, LP. I think LP's taking it back to Denver. The next crypto event I think would be Miami.
Yeah.
Depends on wherever you guys want a presence. I was gonna reach out to Polycade and try to get a second machine,
Nice.
so we can have the two. But yeah, I think the next evolution is like NFC tap pay. So you tap the machine, you pay USD, and then you get a
Mm.
swap for the game tokens.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Very cool.
but yeah,
Well,
deploying it in the wild was fun. It's one thing to sit and write a bunch of code. It's another thing to like see it in the real world impacting people. I think we had 27 players over the 2 days.
And out of those 27, where you said there were people wanting to buy a gotchi on the spot, but it was too much friction.
Yeah, that's the
I didn't.
experience I had with the normie person, like a person
Right.
that like came in. He knew Bitcoin. He heard Bitcoin. He's like, oh, Bitcoin. I'm interested. I was like, yeah, explain like kind of the DeFi mechanics and then also the playing mechanics. And he's like, okay, I'm into this. Bring me to the website. Showed it to him, and then he's like, Cash App, and I'm like, I don't know. We also saw that with the game stuff though. Like I remember like and I thought this was really cool and why these kind of things matter, like, people play testing it. White Ranger standing there, I'm playing the game. I'm like, I can't pick up my weapon. Can you make this like field wider, the acceptable, like where hit the button, I can get the weapon? And then we're like he's tweaking the weapons. Like the Rec sign was like the worst weapon in the game. Everybody avoided it. We're just giving him feedback as we're playing the game, trying to kick each other's butt. It was interesting to see that because he's like the iterations started coming quicker, where you would have to put out the program and then give some people time to kind of play it, reflect. If you had someone that like if you can actually get that feedback in real time, I think it's and be able to deploy it. That's super impressive.
Yeah, being with our company as a fully remote team, I do feel like sometimes we miss that kind of in person, those kind of play sessions or feedback sessions. So it is something that I do wonder sometimes, like if we were fully localized team, maybe things would be different. It's got its ups and downs and pros and cons for sure. But so that just makes the feedback that we do get from people all the more important on every game, really.
It was I think the game was engaging to people for that reason, because the way that we are now, as far as like AAA games, like the game comes out and if you have complaints about a game, those complaints go into a void, and
Yeah.
like sometimes they're heard, sometimes they're not. But when you're standing at an arcade machine and the guy that made the game is like standing next to you, like this
Yeah.
guy, there was one person in particular that like really gave me like a full breakdown of his likes and dislikes. And he was like, I don't know if he's a streamer or whatever, but he was like very into competitive games. And there's an issue where if you hit the jump button and the direction button at the same time, the jump button's like voided. And so he was like trying to like do these crazy juke moves that weren't available in the game. So I
Yeah.
have to like go back and I have to separate, movement from jump and have it on two separate data streams so that it doesn't overlap.
Yeah. That kind of in person, being there in person, it's hard to like, that's just like one message in a in a Discord or a feedback form, that if you're not there. That's really cool.
Yeah,
You
Light
said
Piglet just told me that was the guy that
yeah.
made the first paint bot. If anyone knows.
Oh, really? Well, we got to find out who that guy is. Trying to
Yeah, I got a video.
if he's still in the Discord, tell him to pop in and say hi. Reconnect with him. So, No Future and White Ranger, you guys said that. So you got Grid Gladiator and Battleverse working, and tried to get dropped, but is Gotchi Guardians not on the machine yet?
Yeah, it is. I had it loaded up. It's just if it's a keyboard and mouse game, um, it's not as visually appealing when you walk up to the machine.
Right,
It's still
right,
functional,
makes
still
sense.
playable, but and also like in the kind of environment we're in, like my game is
Mhm.
like it's jump grab shoot, and
Yeah,
it's like a Nintendo interface, and so there's not a whole lot of layers and explaining. It's just like grab that and don't get hit. You know what I mean? So if there's more than three buttons and more than two or three things that you got to do in like a
yeah.
chaotic environment like a conference or convention center, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, I will
I'm
say,
sitting here.
we
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say, Light Piglet was because he mapped the buttons, I think, for Stratagotchi, He said for Spirit Force Arena, there is a gaming controller that we have, so you would have to play through the gaming controller because they don't have the second piece of a mouse that would need for aiming. Uh,
Right.
the way that's the setup. But yeah, the only thing I think Stratagachi didn't have their game up, but dropped. There was a deprecated version of it that he was able to get up and show and play for a bit. So we were switching yesterday. I like try to get them switching between the games as much as possible, get like footage of it. So we did that, which has been cool. They all play on it. It's just a matter of mapping the buttons, which is also pretty cool.
I'm sitting here today playing the first version of Reckless that we've been talking about. I'm sitting here being like, man, I'd love to have that on the Polycade, but it's just it wasn't. It literally today was the first time that we've played like the live version. That's not just like parts of the demo. So it's a really it was a fun game. I'm excited to get that onto the Polygate gate ahead of like Art Basel. That'll be another fun game that
Can
we can
you
demo.
can you share your screen so I can see it?
Yeah, we want to see this game. Or is
I
there
want to
is
show
there
it.
like a
We
website?
not yet, but soon for sure.
Now,
I
does
want to
that
share it.
have
I want
like
to share it too.
does that have PvP in it already?
No, there's no PvP. It's a single person experience. I'm not sure if
Okay.
they're I don't think it's not really a it might be something where we could do like a tag team later, but I don't think it's going to be really PvP game. It's more of a side scroller.
Okay, that works. I'll
But
focus on the PvP for what I'm working on then.
yeah,
So the
it's more
overlay
like,
is pretty substantial.
yeah, it's more like you could pay 100 glitter per run or something and try to top the high score kind of thing.
That works.
Yeah, I love the. What's the name of your game, by the way? Because I don't even know White Ranger.
Battleverse.ai.
Yeah, with yours, it gives me that ADHD loop. It's like, all right, we're in a battle. There was one I fought somebody, I killed them in like 30 seconds, and then the other battle was much more meticulous, and it went for a few minutes. It was like, all right, this is like a good mix between I want to play another one and like, oh, we can actually duel like here. That's why I was liking Zygo's game too, because it feels like it just feels like a great loop. Like I progressed through like 2 or 3 levels of it, and on the arcade machine, the joystick acts as the mouse. So like grabbing, one of the buttons is like basically the click, and being able to grab cards and move it around in the map like felt good. Like these like loops felt good to like actually play out. So it's like that's pretty cool. With the Reckless, what's your button configuration, Coder Dan, for that game? Because we did get feedback and we were giving feedback to White Ranger. Like
Mhm.
w- like mapping for an arcade system, like it has a two tiers of buttons, three at the bottom, three at the top, and then a couple extra side buttons. He was mapping it in a way that was not intuitive. Like one button's on one level, the other one's on the second level, versus like the feedback I gave him, like all three buttons should be on the same level, and this button shouldn't, the one where we throw the weapon shouldn't be on a ring finger because we don't use it as much. Like giving him that kind of feedback.
Yeah.
Do you think with Reckless, the controls are simple enough to get it onto arcade machine?
Oh, for sure. I like it's basically on the keyboard. It's A and D to move, W to jump, space bar to attack, and then I think there's one more. I haven't been able to use it yet to be able to like throw a weapon. I think it is. Golden Cross might know, or Zbot if he's on the call. I wasn't able to unlock that part yet, but it's like basically 4 buttons. I think maybe 5 maximum.
Yeah, see, because then it's an easy, like, the joystick will take over. You have the buttons that you need, and then you can just move forward in the game on these
Yep.
runs. So, yeah. Our
Yeah,
2D, like,
it's perfect. Honestly, it's perfect for this Polycade. It's going to be a great fit. We'll goal will be to have it in the Polycade by like Art Basel. I think is a very realistic goal. Now, all the Web3 hookins and stuff, we are planning to do things like that as well. Exactly like what that will mean in terms of is it how much do you spend any glitter, or do you spend ghost, or what that will be. We'll need to, now that we've seen Battleverse in action, that's a good model for what we could potentially do at Art Basel. Well, cool, guys. Glad to hear that MCon is going well, and that we're reconnecting with a lot of all the guys at MCon. I mean, they're such an OG crew over there. Good to keep them in the know and in the loop of what we're working on.
Yeah, they were all very engaged.
Yeah, plus Game 7 DAO is here. Light Piglet did a panel. I recorded. I'll
nice.
put out some of those clips in the coming days. Yeah, and it was Game 7 DAO. They talked a little bit about the Hyperplay quest and that connection with their system and what SFA and Gotchi Guardians on Hyperplay.
Cool. Yeah, that's they gave a shout out to the games.
Well, they actually they had two of their members had a panel discussion with Light Piglet about DAOs and gaming, and then kind of
cool.
got into a deep dive, like 25-minute conversation. But they, it tended to be a lot of Aavegotchi focus because we were like actually executing on a level that other gaming DAOs aren't, so Light Piglet, had a lot of insightful things to say because we get to watch it and be like, oh yeah, we know, like, oh yeah, we're going through that.
Who else are they talking about? Because I know in terms of the gaming DAOs, actually doing what in a similar thing to what we're doing, it's mainly like Treasure DAO is one that comes to mind. Any others?
No, I know they did, like the focus was a little bit on Game 7 as well, but
Yeah.
Treasure DAO was mentioned. Not really many others that are doing it this way and aren't abandoning that their objective in this, because that was a lot of the conversation here as well. Just the idea of like, what's your mission as a DAO? We just kept going back to Pizza DAO because they threw a party, and we have like feedback on that too, because we
Mhm.
need to, when we go forward, like partner, I think, more with that, like bigger partners that for promotional purposes, like Pizza DAO, where they draw the crowd and we can just sell our wares, like in the sense of
Yeah.
informing people and showing them the polycade. That's because their mission is to throw a pizza party. That's what they do. They do it well. They do it over and over and over again. So their DAO is like such a cool ideal setup because it's like, all right,
Yeah.
they like everybody's around the same incentive.
That's a
Same goal.
great combination. Yeah, pizza and an arcade machine with Web3 on it. That's
Yeah,
that's
I
a
talked
killer
to the
combo
Pizza
right there.
DAO guy. Yeah, I put a bug in the Pizza DAO guys here. I'm like, we're a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese, exactly. I mean, you see all this stuff happening at what's in America, like you can do like betting in their games. What's it been in? What is it called? Like that. I forget the name of the restaurant, but you can like bet in their
Dave and
restaurant now.
Buster's.
Dave and
Yeah,
Buster's. Yeah,
Dave and
like
Buster's. Yeah,
that's the trend.
I need a couple
Yeah.
polycades running on Ghost and Dave and Buster's 24/7. I think that would be fine.
I love it. Yeah, we just got to get that friction down so people can literally just come on and scan a QR code and pay to use the machine right there. We're in business.
We might be able to integrate Apple Pay at some point. So Apple Pay to USDC to crypto, and then there you go.
We're just gonna have to have more of these polycade machines. I forget. I remember I asked you, White Ranger. It's like two grand per machine, or is it more than that? Am I remembering wrong?
If you're just getting the actual like if you're just getting the machine, that's gonna put you in about $3,000. But if you want that
Okay.
like TV, like the LCD topper with the leaderboard and then the stand that comes with it, you're looking at about 4,500 to about 5,000. But I'm gonna reach out to the Polycade guy because I've got some data, some info. He definitely like it's beneficial for him for his machine to be at events.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of like finding a business proposition that we can both benefit from in the long term. So when I get back home, that's what I'm going to be grinding on, kind of
Cool.
building out a roadmap for how we can have a collaborative effort with some of this stuff.
Yeah, I love the idea of getting more of these. If we can get that price point down a little bit, getting more of these and like having almost like permanent stations in places. Obviously, we got to make sure they don't get trashed, but they could do really well in like Asia where people don't treat things with respect, like they won't put graffiti all over them.
We were actually talking about that, like the idea of because we were talking about that in Starlink, the ideal world where
Yeah.
like we have polycades in the different continents. Like we know people like in Europe that we love and trust that do gotcha greeter stuff, so they can hold it down in a location. Somebody said something about the sandbox campus. I don't know. That sounded cool. Just getting stuff out there and then having people manage it. As long as it has an internet connection, it's fine. And you can see I'll post the video in a second, but it the whole video is 3 minutes, but that the majority of that video is me playing versus White Ranger on his game. The actual onboarding, like setting up my wallet, like the transaction, you still have to go and set the wallet up and add glitter to it. But once I have glitter in my wallet, the transaction of just scan the QR code and go into play, it was like 10 seconds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's gonna be, and on Geist it'll be like even faster. It'll be basically instant. These could do really well. Like we were in the Alchemy office back in August, and I was like, we could totally. They have a lot of employees there. They have a lot of like partners that come in. That could be like an interesting place to put and just to have one basically chilling there in their office. That could be kind of interesting. Like I think the Alchemy people would play it, and all the people that come to their office for like events and stuff could they do big events there occasionally. Also, like when we were in Dubai, there's this co-working space that gets a lot of event traffic as well. Like maybe we could have like a presence there, having a few targeted spots that have a lot of Web3 traffic could be pretty cool as like a first way to branch out.
Yeah, I think so. Another thing, if the prize pool, so there is like a barrier to entry and some steps you have to go through. But
Mhm.
we were talking about like the leaderboard prize pool, like what that number would be to make people like put in the effort. Like, yeah, it's hard to create a hot wall and all this stuff, but if you're looking at a prize pool of like 500, 600, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go sit down and like get this set up because I want a chance to get after that money. And then the way I had my like payment system set up, if there's a lot of engagement and people are playing, and then 20% of their wagers keep adding to that, what could really
Yeah,
snowball pretty quickly at a place like Denver or Miami, if there's a lot of people engaged and playing.
totally. You could have like a $10,000 prize pool by the end of the event or more. Love it.
See,
Very
my
cool.
Yeah,
suggestion
there'd
for
be a
that
line
though
around. There'd
would
be a
be
line around the block for that machine.
just create something cute like a gotchi card that is the wallet, so that we don't have to worry about like because watching the flow of like, hey, if you don't have a MetaMask, download
Yeah.
MetaMask, and then we can it's like where we can just give them here. You're now on the blockchain with this cute card that you can take home and show your kids, but come back because this is where your score is going to be stored, and then you can win
Mm,
X name the prize. It would drive like that. The collectability too. It'd be very easy.
like a wallet as a collectible, but it's something you'd hold on to, and the private key is like
Yeah,
on the wallet.
yeah, like a little like think of like a NFC card like for our arcade system, but like that is your wallet instead of it being whatever point of sales thing they use software. So we would have it set up that like say that NFT or whatever that's on that card that you scan
Hmm.
every time you go to the machine is tied to an account, but that account is a wallet. It could be a wallet or it could be say like a like I guess the ERC 1155. It's a token that you have, and it can be updated with like your score from the game like every so often because we're on Geist and there's like cheetah blood on the engine.
And we would have like an NFC reader on the machine.
Yeah.
Oh.
I like Light Piglet's remark. Isn't this, what at least for things hooked up to the Gotchi gaming console, it's already solved with social login, right? Just input your
Yeah, but
email.
these are just like randos that totally vanilla. They have like no crypto experience whatsoever. But we could, I think what you're saying is we could have, let's say we had like a $10 kind of like a prepaid card basically that they would like buy from us on at the point of sale basically, and then they'd be able to use that, like tap that card to then play the game. Is that what you're saying?
You could sell it. I would just give it to them and not even put credits on. It's just like that's where we like collect their information. But I think Jesse does have a good point because even the normie with no experience has a Google account or a Facebook
Yeah.
account, and if they could sign up and then now they're in our system, then we can, I guess, with your player profile, keep track of what they're doing. I'm just watching somebody like attack freaking wasp. There's so many wasp in Detroit for some reason, and stray cats. So many stray cats.
Yeah, I mean, every time someone finishes, they could just like log out, and then the next person comes in and they scan a QR, which with social login it doesn't always work. I don't know if they don't have like a scan QR to log in with Google or something. So I have to think about that. But yeah, it's definitely something to think about there.
The
Love
game
this. I
card is
love
not a
this
bad
conversation.
idea, and that's how like Dave and Buster's traditionally works right now.
Yeah.
Is you go in and get a game card, and so if it was $10 and we put like $8 into the prize pool and then $2 to the DAO, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You could also do it the old school, like I play NFL Blitz at this barcade all the time, and what I do is sign in. Like I have a like a
Yeah.
four-letter name and a four-number passcode. So every time I go and play Blitz, I sign in and my stats are saved. So we don't even need them to have a crypto integration. They just have to like basically create their account by creating a short four-letter name with a four-letter or alphanumeric password that they hold on to. So every time they come to the machine, they have to sign in. They could play it without doing that, but if they sign in, now we can keep track of their score on a leaderboard for like a prize that's like, say $1,000 at Eat Dever. That'd be like if we can hold that on the server and keep it like, decentralized or, as safe and trusted as possible. I think that would mitigate a lot of this. And then we can also then sell them boosted passes and whatever to if they want to add stuff in game to give them like an edge.
We had talked about possibly doing like pre-registration for like a bracket system to where two people play each other and then one person gets knocked out. And so they could do all the crypto stuff before they even get there, get assigned a 4-digit code and like like a vanity username, and then that to log into the machine, and that would be assigned to their address that they put in beforehand. You could also take payments beforehand too.
Cool. Well, I love where this is going. Just keep it up, and everyone, building games. We'll have definitely this sector could be very interesting for the DAO to continue exploring. So great work, White Ranger, with this whole initiative, seeing it through till having the actual machine and taking the maiden voyage at MCon. Sick, and I'm excited to see where we'll be by Art Basel. We're gonna have a whole hotel just like we had last year. Lost Local will be, he's secured that again, and so this will be right in the middle of that hotel, getting a lot of foot traffic. So yeah, maybe we can get another one in time. Have two of those set up.
Yeah, and maybe you can drop the design template again for the outside of the arcade unit. I feel like that was really cool when you shared it, but like I would love to play around with it, but I can't find it anymore. I'm sure other people may be thinking the same. So could see like you doing a whole design competition around those or something too.
Yeah.
Really, really cool to have the flexibility with the design of the arcade unit.
Golden Cross, how you doing today, sir? You got any alpha to drop on the chat here?
Just chilling this morning. Glad to catch up with everybody, and bummed I'm not in Detroit. I thought I could make it there, and it was gonna be close, but I'm gonna definitely have to make it down to Miami. Gonna find a way to join the events at the big hotel. So glad to see it's going so well, and really want to play that arcade unit. In terms of some Gotchiverse stuff, we got all sorts of cool things we've been cooking on, so I can provide a bit of an update there. Um, Also, we talked about on the midweek spaces quite a bit, so if you want to go back and catch a full hour of talking about Gotchiverse, we mostly dove into what the first release will be like, which is more of um, the launch party for Geist. It's very, very much aligned with Geist. So everyone's going to be signing up for Geist, looking for things to do right away. And there's going to be some mints happening in the Gotchiverse. And so it's that kind of leaning into the idea of a DeFi RPG in the sense that the actions you're taking lead to on chain consequences. And so everybody's going to be coming out with not one, but multiple different mints and new digital assets, NFTs that will be minting on Geist. So really, really just working away on that. The team did a bunch with optimizing this week too. So there was
I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, over reportedly over 100%, in some cases 200% increases in performance. So they've been going through and really just fine tuning a lot of the 3D assets. There are some legacy assets in the Gotchiverse that are kind of hybrids. They were originally framed out um, for Gotchiverse 2D as 3D assets, right? This is with the kind of Christian as director era, and the visually that we want to keep them. They're good, but as we really try to play and enjoy at a high efficiency on WebGL, like browser-based gaming, it became clear like sooner than later we would have to optimize some of these other assets. We'd already done a pass where we like reduced the amount of different materials in these 3D objects, um, and that helped a lot. Now it's more like eventually we'll probably have to recreate some of them from scratch with far less polygons, that kind of thing. This is probably like 20% of the assets that exist were our carryover legacy, right? They've been touched up, they've had colors changed, materials changed, but the overall like body of the piece is designed in a way that's not really optimized for browser-based gaming. So um, did some work on that front, and already performance is like significantly increased. But as we pack the space with more and more objects, um, we were talking about longer term, there'll be an asset review shortly after launch where we take that last 20% and really probably just recreate them the way they should have been from the start. And it'll be worth it because then we can add more and more fine detail into every scene. So we're kind of pushing limits here on how big and how many things can be going on in the world at the same time, and it still perform very nicely on whatever computer you're on. So uh, hopefully we don't all have to go out and get like powerful Mac studios or something to enjoy this
No,
game.
yeah, it's not an option really. We gotta keep grinding on it until it is smooth in the browser.
Because we want to have things like the world's a little bit static right now. We want to imbue these objects with like animations and bring it to life more, where the trees are blowing in the wind, or if you crash into something, it rattles, and more interactivity. And we can do it, but we just have to pick and choose which objects make sense to do right now without overburdening the browsers. We don't want our computers to melt. So it's going good. We're keeping a tight leash on it. We kind of add stuff, then we come back and we do a pass, refining things. But I can definitely say visually, we are still fitting in a lot of new content and bringing the world to life a bit. So I'll share some screenshots this week, as I always do. And if anyone has any questions or ideas, feedback, uh, please use this time to do so. This is what I jokingly call the Delfino Island area. If you catch the reference, five goes to whoever catches that reference. But actually, if you look closer, it's not Delfino Island. The symbolism there at the clock tower is, sure enough, it is glitter. So we've got our glitter zone. Oh, you guys are fast. All right, Immaterial is the fastest. So yeah, and Supreme Pablo, shout out. You were pretty quick too, but Immaterial takes it. So yeah, you'll notice a couple things in the glitter zone. We've got kind of the glitter clock tower. This is an area people can come and they're going to learn about glitter. They're going to be able to use glitter. Glitter seems to be a theme today. So this is like tying into the feature where if you want to transport to another world or another map, and you want to use glitter to get there, then this might be the place you go to make that happen. And then you'll see there's like some targets and stuff to the side. We want to get some mini games going over there where you're gonna be able to do some target practice, some competitions, and so you can see there's a bunch of little things going on. The forge kind of sitting area is over there on the other side of the screen, hiding behind some palm trees, and it's a very visually appealing, very nice area to hang out and be social. But eventually, want to link up with the forge guys, and we have some thoughts on like how we can use that area to advocate and draw people into the forge. So I think Forge has a bit more of a learning curve. I mean, everything in Aavegotchi does, but it will benefit from having an area in D1 that
Yeah,
advocates
totally.
for it.
That's
Yeah.
going to be huge, honestly. Like being able to just jump directly into the Gotchiverse and start and like do your Forge activities will make things, I think, simpler for people than having to go through the UI right now. Like you can visually explain things a lot cleaner.
Yeah, yeah, it's really fun. Like the DAO zone does the same thing, but for our voting and our DAO, and it talks about Cocoon, and you see the treasury there live. You can download the reports. It's really cool to uh, not just cool, but it's like actually quite useful as an onboarding mechanic. I was sitting here thinking about the Polycade, and like by the time we're in Miami, uh, we can play games. We can also have some screens with whether it's in the arcade unit or not. Definitely want to be able to have people at IRL events just hopping
Yeah.
in the Gotchiverse and discovering, like, oh, this is the DAO zone now. I come out of there feeling like I learned something about Aavegotchi DAO and maybe even had a good time. So yeah, Forge and Marketplace directly on the Gotchiverse would be dope. I mean, it's something to be built overnight, but I think the ultimate is we want to have a lot more in-game trading, like a P2P
Yeah.
marketplace, and if those transactions ultimately settle uh, on the blockchain, then on Geist, that would be just really really powerful. So we will get there. I want you to be able to, hawk your wearables or other game items that you've collected throughout your adventures, and be able to craft some dope, really rare recipes, things like that. So, uh, marketplace and Forge together would be amazing, and we'll get there. Here's another shot of the clock tower. Work in progress, of course. The 3D designer Daria has been taking lead on glitter, working with Stellar on this. So you can kind of see a bit of before and after. This is actually the V1 clock tower,
Yeah.
and it's got the glitter references, but it's a bit too. Um, I don't know. It just wasn't like you couldn't go inside it. You couldn't do anything with the new one. You can kind of go under it, and there could be things to do inside of it. So that's
You can
just
like
iterations here.
you can really feel like Stellar's influence in these screenshots.
Yeah, I hope it
Everything
comes
like
through. This before and after. It's like, oh,
oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's so whimsical, right? It's like the trees, the the grass and like just everything, the colors. It's all. It feels like a little bit like a like Salvador Dali, like a
Yeah.
metaverse in that way.
Maybe that's why the clock tower is kind of Spanish in Salvador. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got some Dali to it. That's pretty cool. Good point. So yeah, that's just showing the before and after. Here's another example of taking, like, we've done the broad strokes, and now Stellar's going up through with Daria, and the two of them are kind of getting this more granular detail. And a lot of times the way it works is we go in the world, we get the screenshot of where it is so far, and Stellar adds in like overlay drawings, and then Daria is able to basically replicate those one to one. She does such a great job. So here you can see like some potential mock-ups for more of a water park, a park with fountains, and again, very whimsical, very nice, pleasant area to be. So um, yeah, it just kind of takes it from like we've done the broad strokes, now it's like detail work. So let's see here, maybe one more screenshot to drop. This one is work they've been doing on the big giant columns you might have noticed that lead up to some of the royal highway, as we're calling it internally. And on top of those columns, we finally started building what's going to go on top of those columns. So there's some lore coming in, some
Oh,
really interesting character designs, and that's going to tell a pretty cool story as well as you walk up the grand path there. We need a good name for it. So the Grand Highway.
yeah.
But, yeah, it's coming
Do we
together.
have you guys confirmed like who the first NPC is going to be, or where you might encounter the first NPC? I know you're working on them.
Yeah,
Is it going to be
we're
like
gonna.
outside the portal?
It's first NPC. There's gonna be a dozen plus NPCs at the launch. Now the one you might encounter first would probably be near the Great Portal, because you're gonna also encounter one actually before that in the dance hall, because
Right.
initially, come the launch party, we'll all be in the dance hall, and then here I actually have a great mock-up of some of the concept art of the team for this part. One second. All right. This is a low res version of the map, so don't worry, it's kind of zoomed out and not showing everything. But you can see from one of our internals, like just going through step by step, then that's the plan, is like after the dance hall dance party, after you've talked to that NPC and our MC kind of announces that, all right, let's go out into the world now. You've been incubated into the Gotchiverse. The ceiling opens and all the Gotchis were all going to fly out of there. So yeah, you'll talk to some NPCs just before and just after this scene here. So um, we got different like factions of the lore that are represented. You're going to have your farmers. You're going to have your royals, your portal mage, various characters from kind of different teams or factions across the Gotchiverse. So it's gonna be pretty cool. The pickups in the HUD are also getting updated. Maybe I can share that. It's been I may have shared the HUD with you guys before, the like overlays. Um, but it hasn't been implemented into the live build until now. And so it's, I'd say, 90% done. But the game plays way better when it has the proper HUD. Feels way better. So here you guys can see the overlay. You've got your flight bar, your AP, your hot tray, chat, even your ranged and melee stances. And yeah, we got some work to do with the camera, obviously. Like, you throw that overlay on, and the Gotchi's positioning with the camera is less than ideal. So there's still some camera stuff we're working on to make it really what we want it to be. And the icons, just so you know, those are placeholder. Like the coffee cup icon there, that'll be dressed up a little bit more, a little bit pop a bit more. but they are functioning. They're able to go through, and if you open that up, you can see mock pickups, different consumable items there across the map, and you're able to go through and pick up these different items. So it's all
Cool.
coming
So
together.
I'm picking up a coffee cup.
Yeah, yeah. It's like our Gotchi Heart coffee cup, except it's a flame instead of a heart. So it's not the original Mug Club. It's a variation, not the wearable. And this one gives you like it's from the "This is fine" kind of meme, and so you're basically reenacting that where your ghost temporarily transforms and like catches on fire, and this is fine, and it's going to be very useful for just like when you're on the dance floor and you bust a move, you can basically engulf your part of the dance floor with flames. And the other cool thing about the music, really quick, is took some extra effort, but let's say I spawn in the world 5 minutes after you, Dan, and then so now I'm in the dance floor. Well, the cheap, like, quick way to implement was we would use music that kind of loops, and it wouldn't really matter what
Right.
time I entered. So the music just starts from 0 when you enter the world. So we're totally off beat. Like you're at a different part of the
Oh
song.
yeah, that's no
That's
good.
like, yeah, but that's like you could implement that in a day. Like that's quick out the box. Instead, it took like half of a sprint, maybe a little bit more, but we're now at a point where there's this workaround where it clocks like when you jump in, all our music is synced. So you got 50, 60, 70 gotchis in the dance hall together, and the chorus is building, 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 and the beat drops. We can all like execute different animations or set ourselves on fire, some of these different power ups, at key parts of the song, or even choreographed as a group. And it
Nice.
actually makes sense because if quickly realize, right, if the music's not aligned, we're all dancing to a different song basically. Can't have
Yeah.
that. So yeah, that's something we can definitely do. And I know we got some musicians in the house here. We're putting together a track list internally, but if anybody hits me up and is like, "Hey, please include my song," now's your time. It's we would love to include a track from Phase or anybody else. So um, there's also that opportunity. And I think I've mentioned down the road, we want to have it where so much of the Gotchaverse is about getting exclusive mints by spending time in our virtual world. People should be able to do kind of a fake Gotchis esque um, ability to create MP3s that can be played in the world, whether it's at the main dance hall or at a jukebox on your parcel. We
Yeah,
want
that
that to
sounds
be
like GTA almost, like having like
yeah.
that radio that you're listening to all the time.
Yeah, the difference is I want to be able to customize it with different
Yep.
NFT MP3s. So really looking forward to the day I can have a playlist with some No Future freestyling, some phase, creating some beats, and maybe even get like a surprise from Coder Dan, maybe some beatboxing. Who knows? Rare collectibles, a rare Coder Dan beatbox.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I
Saving
look
that
forward
for
to
GotchiCon.
Yeah. So I look forward to Miami. We'll be running around Gotchiverse. We'll have our Polycade. It's gonna be a good time.
Dude, it's gonna be
And
it's gonna
sure
be
should
a
turn some
lit
heads.
Q4.
All right, good timing. My daughter just kicked the door down. See Roxiana on stage here too. So,
GM.
Howdy, Roxana. Hello, hello.